welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm participating in Simple Story Saturday, which is a YouTube hop put on by Joanne Bartel, and we use Simple Story products. So to start with, I'm using a piece of white cardstock that is 12 by 12, and I'm using some Lost Shadow Distress Ink. I just got this, so it's the first time I'm using the stamp pad as well as the foam pad that I put on my blending tool. And so it's hard to get it saturated enough to go on, plus it's very light, so it's hard to tell when you've got some on there. But when I do remove the stencil, you can see it. I'm using a Tim Holtz stencil called Burlap Layering Stencil, and I'm creating just 2 mixed media areas in the corners so that it can accentuate the photos that I'm going to be putting on the page. And I really like this color because I didn't want something dark like black soot, but since I'm mostly using black paper, I didn't want it to have kind of a brownish shade. So this is a true gray, but is very light. Then I'm spraying on some Frozen Fog Mica Mist. And I really like this because it has a silvery hue to it, so it looks sparkly, and it's going to give it a little bit of sophistication because the photos I'm going to be scrapbooking are of a girl's quinceañera in Mexico, which is their 15th birthday, and they dress like really fancy as if it's a wedding or something. But she's wearing a black dress and everything's black. She likes black and silver, so that's why I'm using these colors. I let the paper dry, and when I was doing that, I went ahead and got some papers cut out and got my photos matted. However, I didn't get back to it on the same day because by then it was bedtime, so after work I came back to finish it. And this border I cut out with my Creative Memories border punch, and it's just some black cardstock. And I used the cable weave chain for this. And only part of this is going to show. I just wanted it to have a little bit of a ruffle on the side. I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe glue to glue down the border, and this is my favorite glue. For my layout, I'm using Simple Stories Black Collage paper from Simple Vintage Essentials color palette, and I cut out one piece that's 12 inches by 5.5 inches, and I cut this other one as a rectangle, and I'm using my corner rounder to round 2 of the sides that will be showing, and then the other ones will go under the paper. And then I just use my 1/4 inch double-sided tape so that I can adhere it to my scrapbook page. I trimmed my photos and matted them with black cardstock, and I just did an 1/8 inch border. And I have Post-it tape over the faces of the people to protect their identity. And of course, I'll remove that after I make the video. I decided the layout would look better if I put some kind of border between the 2 different papers and have it go all the way down. But I didn't want to use the cutout like I already did, so I found this washi tape with the cameras, and I thought it looked good even with it kind of like the cameras are going sideways. But I really did like that I put something there. I think that made everything pop better. Kind of played around with the photos to decide exactly where I wanted to put them, but I didn't attach them yet because I wanted to decide on my bigger elements for my clusters before I finalized where I was going to attach the photos. I decided I would build 3 different clusters, so I made a space between the 2 on the side panels so that I could build a middle cluster there. I already picked out all the black elements from the Simple Vintage Essentials color palette Bits and Pieces collection, and I wrote the word familia on the one that I have here because that's the word for family in Spanish. And since the girl that I'm giving this to, this is pictures of her with their brothers and sisters, I thought that would be an appropriate word to put on the title. Then I also looked at my sheet of stickers. That's their cardstock stickers from this collection, and I was just using the ones from the black ones. And I also looked at the black ones from the Simple Vintage Essentials color palette designer sticker book. I didn't find enough there that I wanted, so then I also looked at the cream colored collection because there is a cream color in the collage on the black paper, and so I thought that would go because it also had black on it. Now that I made sure I had enough room for the clusters that I'm going to make, I go ahead and attach my photos with some mounting squares. I'll put a list of all the products that I'm using in the description below. Some of these will be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but I do get a small commission from any sales that the links generate, and that helps support my channel. Now, some of these products may no longer be available, but Simple Stories does have a lot of the vintage collections, which is what this one is, and they have other ones with this style. Then I go back to building my clusters. I'm adding all the larger elements first, and of course the ones that are just paper, I glue those down, and then the ones that come from the sticker book or the sticker sheet, of course I don't have to glue those down. I found these tabs that were in the sticker book, so I decided to add those above the photos on the gingham paper. I thought about moving the tab on the top photo over more towards the middle, but then I noticed the adhesive that was holding it down, the mounting square, was stuck to the page, so I didn't want to move it, so I just left it where it was. Then I start adding some medium to smaller elements to the clusters, and these are all hearts and buttons, and they came from the sticker sheets and sticker book and the bits and pieces. After I finished putting on my Simple Stories embellishments, I wanted to add some other embellishments just for some extra bling and details. So I'm starting with some flat back metallic pearls that are silver from Pinkfresh Studios. I've had these for quite a while, so I don't know if they still make them, but if they do, I'll put them in the list below. And I'm just using my Nuvo Deluxe glue to attach them, and I try to put several different sizes on here. As a final embellishment, I'm adding some pops of color. If you're not familiar with that, pops of color comes from Scrapbook.com. That's their own brand, and they have different lines of these. So these are called glitter, and the first one I'm using is called Black Magic, and then the other one is just called Silver. So their glitter line is just like the stickles. It's kind of like glue with glitter in it. And their other ones, like the gloss or the pearl, those are like enamel drops or like Nuvo drops. And all you do is just squeeze them on. And if you want them flat, then I find it's best to flick your finger underneath the page, and that helps them go flat. Now, normally when I put these type embellishments down, whether they're gems or the flat back pearls, Nuvo drops, or the glitter like I just used, I usually only use one, and so I put them in groups of 3 like I was doing here. But since I had 3 things in groups of 3, it turned out like, especially up by the owl, it looks more like an oval instead of groups of 3. So I think next time if I put more than one on, I think I'll put my kind of triangle element closer together, so that way it doesn't come out looking like an oval of circles. As I mentioned earlier, this is part of a YouTube hop with Simple Stories Saturday. I'll have a list of all the participants in the description below. Please hop along to the next person and check out everyone's videos. You'll get lots of ideas of how to do your scrapbook pages, as well as using different products, and specifically using all the different lines of Simple Stories. If you're not too familiar with Simple Stories, they're kind of a less expensive middle range type pages of scrapbooking, and they have a lot of different embellishments and a lot of different styles. So I tend to use the vintage styles, but there are a lot of different ones out there, and they're always coming up with new ones. So no matter what you're scrapbooking, they probably have papers and embellishments that go really good with whatever your style and photos are. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like. And if you're not already a subscriber, I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.